Hey there, I'm Sanjay and in this video I'm going to design new Gen 9 Mega Evolutions. In Generation 9, we got many new and unique Pokemon in the Paldea region. Some really unique designs and concepts can be found in this region's Pokemon roster. But one thing that I noticed is that a lot of these Pokemons are Dex fillers that don't evolve, or Pokemon that do evolve but the final evolution doesn't look complete. All regions have their far-fetched and pincurchins, and more often than not, they get attention in future generations. Now that we receive new evolutions for Gen 8 Pokemon in Gen 9, it is not unlikely that they give attention to various Gen 9 Pokemon sooner than we might expect. With the reveal of Pokemon Legends ZA and Mega Evolutions returning, it is safe to say that we are going to get new Mega Evolutions for more Pokemon. And it would make sense for Game Freak to focus on giving Mega Evolutions to Pokemon that got released after Mega Evolution was introduced. And since Gen 9 has a lot of those designs whose potential has not met yet, it makes sense to give them Mega Evolutions as well. So in this video, I'm going to design 3 new Mega Evolutions to Gen 9 Pokemon. The first Pokemon I'm going to design is Mega Flamingo. Game Freak introduced us a lot of bird Pokemon that don't evolve in Generation 9. Well, there are 3 of them, which is a lot if you ask me. We never had a Flamingo Pokemon before. When everyone first saw this Pokemon, they were like, this is just a Flamingo. And yeah, it really is just a Flamingo. There is not a lot going on with its design. It is just a cartoon Flamingo. When I first saw this Pokemon, I thought it was going to be a normal flying Flamingo Pokemon. I didn't notice anything that interesting about its design. It is a fighting type Pokemon and its body looks like a punching glove. Apparently, it might also be based on balloon animals, which I can definitely see. It might also be based on flamenco dancers. Game Freak does like to design Pokemon with multiple inspirations, where some of those elements are more prominent than others. But would they really design a Pokemon where none of those inspiration is obvious? Like, for most people, this is just a flamingo Pokemon with a pun in its name. Even I am not fully convinced that Flamingo is really inspired by any of those things. So yeah, it's a really simple design, with not much going on at all. I wanted to go with the flamenco dancer route for this Mega Evolution, because that is the most interesting out of all of its possible inspiration. A flamenco dancer flamingo Pokemon is perfect. The design aesthetics mesh together really well, which makes me think that they really might have wanted to make a flamenco dancer flamingo Pokemon, but gave us this instead. I gave it layers of feathers to create the cloth-like effect. I added more black to the design. We already have a Pokemon with the same concept and aesthetic, being Bale-style Oricorio, which could also be the reason why they didn't give us a flamenco dancer flamingo Pokemon. I gave this Pokemon hair-like features and added multiple black accents. I gave it a pose that both looks like a flamingo and also a flamenco dancer. I like how this turned out. Next up is Mega Pawmot. Pawmot line has one of the most underwhelming evolutions in the entire franchise, which sucks even more because it's the first Pikachu clone that has the ability to evolve. Game Freak likes patterns, and they sure do love their Pikachu. Or they just have to give attention to Pikachu because, you know, it's Pikachu. So every generation we get a new Pikachu clone that looks similar to Pikachu, but most of them do have something more going on with their designs. Like Blastoise and Minun representing double battles, Pachirisu. Well, Pachirisu is not that unique. Emolga has an interesting type. Didane is based on the Tooth Fairy mouse and is a fairy type Pokemon introduced in the generation that gave us the fairy type. Togedemaru is a steel type Pokemon and a hedgehog with metal spikes. Morpeko has a form changing gimmick. Pawmot is also the first ever electric fighting type, and I wish Pawmot looked more interesting. Pawmi standing up to evolve into a fighting type makes sense. It is a mouse Pokemon that learns to fight like humans, since that is what fighting type is about for the most part. So it stands up. I get it, but it standing up with just a minimal design change is not a good evolution. The most important part about Pawmi, Pawmo and Pawmot is their paws. They can generate electricity using their paws. Also, this Pokemon line is possibly based on defibrillators, as they can learn the move Revival Blessing. I wanted to make the Mega Evolution buff looking. I wanted it to be more fierce and strong. I get that they wanted to make Pawmot cute, but I wanted to bring out this Pokemon's fighting type more. I used the already existing zigzag pattern throughout the body. I got rid of the cute, huge head proportion for a more big and beefy Pokemon design. The proportion of Palmot was a bit awkward to begin with. I believe that this design that I came up with solves all the problems Palmot has. This works as Palmy's final form way better than base Palmot. It's a good balance between cuteness and strong looking. I love it. Finally, I'm going to design Mega Quackle. This was the hardest to design among the three. Here's the thing, I love Quackle, and I'm aware that most people don't like it. I like that it is a flamboyant peacock duck Pokemon that is also a dancer and is full of energy. I like how energetic it looks in its idle animation. I love anthropomorphized birds for some reason. Some of my favorite characters are birds that are anthropomorphized in some way. At first, I did find its feet weird to look at, and it still is to some extent, but overall I love this Pokemon. So I wanted to give this Pokemon a Mega Evolution. I mainly wanted to work on its tail feathers since it is one of its important design elements, while its main attribute would be its dancing. I wanted to add more colors to the design as it would make sense. Base form Quackle has the colors blue, white, yellow and red as its base color scheme. And since rainbows are associated with rain, I thought it would be perfect to represent the entire color palette of the rainbow in the tail feathers of Quackle. It would be both beautiful and logically make sense. If something is visually appealing and logically functional at the same time, it is typically a good design. One of the interesting parts of Quackle is how it starts off as a duck and gains peacock elements in its final form. So I added even more bird elements like the black mask, which would be the accents found in a lot of birds including ducks and even peacocks. I used the already existing pattern found in Quackle's design for the Mega Quackle, but differently. I wanted to feature Pokemon's not so well known Rainbow effect. This is a battle effect that is caused by pledge moves. This Pokemon will have the ability After the Rain, which triggers the Rainbow effect when Quackle uses a water type move. This effect is normally triggered by using two pledge moves like Water Pledge, Fire Pledge and Grass Pledge. This Rainbow effect increases the secondary effect of Pokemon moves. I love how this design turned out.